America's toughest soldiers, the Army Green Berets, the Navy SEALs, Delta Force, need a helping hand, they know they can rely on Air Force Special Operations. This video ordnance program examines the unique missions and aircraft of the Air Force Special Operations Wing. In the 1960s, the American Armed Forces realized that more attention had to be paid to low-intensity combat, the brutish little wars in the Third World involving guerrilla forces. Special aircraft were needed for special missions. These were not necessarily high-tech, but their missions could not be performed by existing aircraft.
The first Special Operations Wing evolved in the early 60s from a combat crew training wing, which was here at Hurlburt, which at the time was called Jungle Gym. And that organization evolved out of the requirements early in the Vietnam War to provide platforms, primarily close air support platforms that were not all that advanced. For example, the A-1 was one of those aircraft. If you had been here 20 years ago or 25 years ago, you would have seen perhaps 15 or 20 different kinds of airplanes out here, from helicopters to close air support aircraft and so on, whose primary function was to train the Vietnamese, number one, and in a more limited way, of course, to engage in combat operations, at least early on. We evolved from that as Vietnam drew down. We did as well, and then moving into the late 70s, we like to frankly call Ayatollah Khomeini in a sense, the godfather of modern special ops, because it was there where we played a major role in the attempted rescue of the American hostages in Iran. And from that time forward, we began to get perhaps the kind of resources that we needed to do this job in the modern era.
The first Special Operations Wing at Hurlburt Field in Florida is the final evolution of these efforts. This unit is different from most Air Force wings in the variety of aircraft it flies. Most wings fly only a single type of aircraft. But the 5 squadrons of this wing each fly different aircraft types configured to support very specialized missions.
We have 3 fixed-wing aircraft and 2 rotary wing. In the fixed-wing category, we have the AC-130H Gunship, which is our gunfire support platform. We have the MC-130, it's a variation of the C-130, and it essentially is a penetrator. It allows us to go deep into enemy territory or hostile airspace with a C-130 size airplane. The third fixed-wing bird is a HC-130. It is a tanker, principally, and its role is to air refuel our helicopters. Now, the 2 helicopters we have are sort of large and a smaller one. That is the H-53 variant, the MH-53J Pave Low, which is, again, a penetrator asset which can go deep. The MH-60 is our light lift helicopter, also air refuelable. It can go deep as well, but does not have all of the penetration avionics that either the 53 or, say, the MC-130 have.
The MC-130 is called Combat Talon. Its mission is to deliver special forces deep behind enemy lines, either by parachute or by landing at improvised fields. The long nose on this aircraft houses a special terrain-following radar which permits it to fly at treetop level, too low to be detected by enemy radar. To further hide from the enemy, its missions are usually flown at night. The MC-130 has other capabilities as well. Combat Talon is fitted with a Fulton surface-to-air recovery system. This can be used to extract troops or equipment deep behind enemy lines without the need for the aircraft to land. The Fulton system snags the line, suspended by special balloons, and then brusquely winches in the passenger. During the Gulf War, one of its special missions was the delivery of the largest conventional bomb still in service, the massive 15,000-pound Daisy Cutter. About 10 of these bombs were used against frontline bunker complexes, intended to discourage the Iraqi troops from offering serious resistance to the initial American onslaught. The MH-53 Pave-Low is a helicopter counterpart to Combat Talon. Like the Combat Talon, its specialty is the delivery and extraction of Special Forces troops. The Pave-Low is based around the H-53 Sea Stallion helicopter, used by the Marine Corps as its primary heavy-lift helicopter. Unlike the Marine version, the Pave-Low is fitted with an elaborate selection of sensors in its nose, allowing it to fly under enemy radar at treetop heights. During Desert Storm, Pave-Lows were used to rescue downed pilots deep behind Iraqi lines. Another of its secret missions was to lead the first attack on Iraqi air defenses, guiding in Apache attack helicopters to destroy Iraqi radars.
The significant difference between that airplane and others is that, number one, it has a terrain-following, terrain avoidance radar, which allows the bird to operate as low as 100 feet at night or in adverse weather conditions when one perhaps could not see outside the airplane, and do so safely. The other capability is a very good FLIR, a forward-looking infrared set on the bird, which gives you night visibility. And perhaps most important of all is the fact it has an enhanced navigation system, which includes an inertial navigation platform and global positioning system, which allows us to go very long distances very precisely and to arrive within seconds. The beauty of this machine is that it is specifically designed, as I indicated earlier, to go deep and get there when it's supposed to get there and get where it's supposed to go on time.
The MH-60 Pave Hawk is a shorter-ranged counterpart of the Pave-Low. It is based on the UH-60 Black Hawk, the Army's standard troop-carrying helicopter. Like the Pave-Low, it has advanced night vision and navigation gear for night operations, and a refueling probe, which extends its effective combat range. Essential to many long-range missions is the need to refuel the aircraft in flight. This is the task of the HC-130 tanker. The HC-130 has special pods on the wings, which tow a low-speed fueling drone. The HC-130 is specially configured to allow it to operate safely at night, refueling the Special Operations helicopters covertly. The final member of the Special Operations Wing is the AC-130 Gunship. The AC-130, nicknamed Spectre, provides fire support for Special Forces troops on the ground.
Well, I think the most distinguishing capability that we have is the precision and accuracy of the firepower that we can deliver. And I'll be quite honest with you, the ground forces love this airplane because it can deliver the firepower very close to its position, and the issue of fratricide is minimal because of the accurate delivery power we have with this airplane.
Gunships were one of the first types of aircraft developed for Air Force special operations. During the Vietnam War, there was the need for an aircraft able to deliver precision firepower near friendly forces. This led to the AC-47 Spooky Gunship and others. The gunships were based on transport aircraft, which offered the needed size and stability at slow speeds. Almost inevitably, the C-130 became the ultimate gunship platform. The C-130 is one of the most successful transport aircraft ever to fly, and has proven ideal as the basis for the AC-130 Spectre. Its specialty is the delivery of pinpoint firepower.
It's a very good airplane to fly. It's very forgiving. It takes a lot of crew members, obviously, to get it moving in the right direction. Yeah, it's not the yanking and banking, you know, that the A-10s, the F-15s, and 16s get, but it's fun. It really is a lot of fun. We don't, like the slick 130s, we don't get up and cruise at altitudes. We've got so many holes in this airplane that getting up above 10,000 feet is a task for us, but it's fun to fly.
One of the most striking features of the AC-130 Spectre is the size of the crew, 14 men. No other attack aircraft has so large a crew. The crew is needed to operate the guns on board the aircraft, as well as the sensors and computers which make the guns so accurate.
First of all, we have 14 people on a crew, and the first real challenge to any one of those crew members is crew coordination. And we have several interphone systems on the crew, but it's truly a crew effort when this airplane goes into combat. You have 2 pilots, a flight engineer, you have a navigator and a fire control officer that all sit up on the flight deck. Then back in the cargo compartment, you have a booth back there, and you have an electronic warfare officer, you have a TV operator, and an infrared operator working that booth, and they're doing a lot of their mission coordination and finding the targets with that fire control officer sitting on the flight deck. And then the remaining people in the cargo compartment are 5 aerial gunners, as well as a loadmaster who sits in the tail of the airplane and looks out and scans for threats to the airplane. So it becomes a real crew effort to get the bullets out there on the ground to support the guy that may be on the ground or in our interdiction or our reconnaissance role.
The Spectre crews are drawn from crews of Military Airlift Command, including the transport version of the C-130 Hercules, called the Slick by Spectre crews.
I feel as far as the 130 world goes, this is the cream of the crop. This is where everyone wants to be. Anyone that's flown Slicks, they will kill each other to get here, as they say. It's a great airplane.
At the heart of the AC-130 Spectre is its gun system. As on the first gunships, the Spectre has them lined up along the left fuselage side.
We'll start at the front of the aircraft. We have 2 20mm Vulcan cannons. Each one is capable of putting out a rate of fire of approximately 2,500 rounds per minute. We normally limit our bursts to 8 to 10 seconds maximum to keep the barrels cool, and also to conserve the ammunition on board. We do have a finite amount of ammunition, and normally a small dose will do more than a large burst will do anything. Moving back, we have the 40mm Bofors cannon. If you're familiar with the old World War II movies of the pom-pom guns, what we've done is taken one of the pom-pom guns off, put it on a trainable mount, and put it in the aircraft. Most of the ammunition that we shoot is 1950s vintage, so it's an unusual gun in itself. And then finally, we have the big weapon, my own personal favorite, the 105 howitzer. My philosophy is start big and work your way down, but it is a very good weapon. It's a standard Army field piece, 105mm howitzer that's been put on a trainable gun mount and fed through the fire control system to make it very accurate, and it delivers a good punch when it hits. So it is a very nice weapon.
The Spectre gunship is a complex combination of high-tech and low-tech. Its 105mm gun is the largest gun carried on any combat aircraft today.
You've got to have some respect for the weapon. It recoils approximately 47 inches, and it's a couple thousand pounds. And if you're in behind it, or you fall in behind it, or your hands are in the wrong place, you could definitely get injured. So you got to have a lot of respect for that weapon and the ammunition. So we're very careful around that weapon system.
The side-firing guns require some special adaptations to the aircraft. On modern fighters and attack aircraft, the weapons are aimed through a sight called the heads-up display, located in front of the pilot. This displays most of the critical flight information and aiming points. On the Spectre, the HUD is located on the side instead of in front of the pilot.
With this HUD, as obviously it would be in an A7, it would be mounted right in front of the pilot, in front of the cockpit. But with us, with all our action going off on the left-hand side of the aircraft, we have to be able to denote, see the symbols up here on the combiner glass and where they're pointing on the left-hand side of the plane. Well, the HUD is what we use to aim the weapons. With the computer-generated symbols that we get from the HUD through the computer that's located back near the fire control officer station, that's how we aim the guns. When I'm shooting the weapons on this aircraft, I'm basically looking into a black hole. I can't see anything on the ground. We're firing, at altitudes that I can't distinguish ground references. I can't distinguish the target at all. But the sensors are able to see it, and their information is fed into the fire control computer, and that in turn generates the symbols on the HUD, and I use that to aim with. Once I get the symbols matched up on the HUD, then I can fire the weapons.
Because the Spectre operates at night, it relies on a pair of night vision sensors to aim its weapons accurately.
We're primarily a night aircraft, as you've talked about, and being such, we're equipped with an infrared sensor, which you can relate it to a television camera that works off of heat sources versus the light spectrum, and it's very capable. It allows us to operate in a very dark night without any light source. In addition, we have a low-light television set on board, which with some moon illumination can operate independently, and without it we can provide our own illumination, which is not visible to the naked eye. Those two unique capabilities gives us the eyes in the sky, and those sensors are tied directly into our fire control system. If you could imagine that with the tie-in that we have, where the sensor looks, the gun looks. And that makes it a very, very accurate nighttime resource.
The reason the gunship can deliver its firepower with such accuracy depends on tactics as well as technology. The location of the guns along the side of the aircraft permits the crew to use a special tactic, the pylon turn, which permits particularly consistent accuracy.
It's called a side-firing weapon system. The principle involved was developed in early Southeast Asia years in the late 60s. The principle is that as an airplane performs a pylon turn around a given point in space, that point in space on the ground that is the center of the pylon turn is very stable, and that gives us the bulk of our firing accuracy, and the computer is able to anticipate that as we fly around a known orbit point around the target itself.
The pylon turn tactic is unique to the gunship and requires more hours of flying for the pilot and other crew members than other similar aircraft for the crew to become proficient.
We go out and shoot the guns every single day. Fighter pilots may in their entire fighter career get to shoot 1 or 2 missiles. They do get to fire if they've got 20 mil or 25 mil guns, or with the A-10 they got the 30 mil, they'll get to shoot that quite a bit. Here with the gunships though, our normal everyday load is 20 rounds of 105, 96 rounds of 40, and 2,000 rounds of 20 millimeter. And we do that every single day. And an aircraft commander in this unit will get anywhere between 2 missions a week and approximately 4 to 10 missions a month.
The precision made possible by intensive training and special tactics allow very small targets to be engaged accurately.
I would consider the typical type of target to be something that's a Jeep-sized type target or maybe larger. And, certainly we can go after vehicles, we can go after personnel. In the open, for example, we may be able to see some of those and destroy those kind of targets, buildings, bunkers, things of that nature.
Combat over the past decade has demonstrated the value of specialized aircraft like the Spectre. During Operation Just Cause in Panama, one of the primary targets was the Comandancia headquarters. Ordinary bombing attack was ruled out due to the proximity of civilian housing. The Spectre gunships were called in to do the job.
In its principal role in support of special operations, it primarily provides specialized, very accurate gunfire support with very limited collateral damage. A good case in point would be Just Cause, where the AC-130, one of its missions was to work on the Comandancia. And you'll recall the vivid pictures of the Comandancia after that, where the building was taken down with very little collateral damage outside the perimeter of the building. That is the role of the AC-130, to strike targets with limited collateral damage and with high confidence that you're not hitting something other than you intend to strike.
The DC-130 Spectre is primarily a night attack aircraft. There's very good reason for this. Since it is based on a transport aircraft, it is big and slow. Its pivot turn maneuver gives it great accuracy, but makes it a very predictable target for enemy gunners. To minimize the risk to the crew and aircraft, it flies at night when it cannot be seen by the enemy. To operate effectively and accurately at night, very sophisticated night sensors are needed.
Our tactics do put us at risk at times, and we are very limited in the environment in which we can operate. We have to take into account the threat to us on the ground and any counter-air threat that may be available. And it's not a general purpose, any place, any time type of weapon system. It's very good at a very specific mission, but we have to make sure that we pick and choose as much as we can the mission to ensure one, success, and two, that the airplane comes home. The unique capabilities that we provide, that very precise firepower close in with a low lethality envelope, allows us to work very close to friendly forces. And in the instances that you talked about, Grenada, Panama, those type of places, the environment was permissive enough to let us work pretty much with a free hand. In those environments, I don't think you can beat us.
The Spectre's night capabilities are reliant on its sophisticated sensors. During a gunship mission, the center of activity for the sensor operators is a small compartment in the middle of the aircraft.
In the booth, in the front right of the booth, is where the electronic warfare officer sits with all that associated equipment. To my left in the front of the booth is the infrared sensor operator, who basically uses his infrared sensors to locate targets and guide the guns in on them. In the back of the booth is the TV operator, who uses the low-light television system also to find targets and guide the munitions down on them.
The night sensors are used to search for targets. The forward-looking infrared sight can detect targets even on the blackest of nights. It picks up the tiny differences in heat between a human or a machine, which are slightly warmer than the background of earth or foliage. The key to the accuracy of the gunship is the careful coordination of the sensor operators, the fire control officer, and the pilots.
The sensor operator is primarily responsible for target detection, okay? The navigator gets us in the tactical working area, and the sensor coordinates with the fire control officer and navigator for target acquisition and firing on the target.
Once the target is located, the data is passed on to the fire control officer. The data is loaded into the aircraft's ballistic computer, which calculates the proper ballistic trajectory and feeds an aim point to the pilot. When the symbols on the HUD match up, the pilot can squeeze the trigger. But the pilot's decision to fire must be verified by the sensor operator to make sure that the guns are aiming in the right direction. If the pilot makes a mistake, the computer intervenes.
In that case, the computer simply prevents us from firing unless we have the proper firing solution. We work very closely with the sensors on that. Whichever sensor we're using, the TV or the infrared, it's kind of a chicken and egg question. The pilot pushes the trigger, and then when the sensor determines that he is locked onto the target, and the gun is at that point following the camera around, they are locked in by the computer. When he decides that he is locked onto the target, he pushes his consent button, and the gun will go off.
But night alone cannot protect the Spectre. Even the smallest and most backward armies are now receiving radar-directed anti-aircraft guns and infrared homing anti-aircraft missiles. The Spectre defends itself from these threats electronically. It has sensors located around the aircraft to pick up the electronic signals of radar-directed guns that might be homing in on it. And under the aircraft are missile warning receivers that can sense the launch and approach of an enemy missile. It is the job of the Spectre's electronic warfare officer to determine how the aircraft should respond to each threat.
In the case of a radar threat or an infrared threat, I've got the equipment there to provide me an early warning. When I get that early warning, I'll direct those sensors to the area so they can start scanning for a visual launch so that we get as early as possible a sighting on the missile so that we can better maneuver away from it.
Some enemy weapons cannot be detected electronically, so old-fashioned human eyesight must be used to defend the Spectre. At the side of the aircraft sits one of the observers, and in the tail sits another, looking through a plexiglass bubble. These observers have learned from experience what enemy fire looks like.
Well, for example, a surface-to-air missile, you'll see a bright light, basically the launch. Then the missile coming up, you'll see the plume, the aft end of the missile, which is more of a corkscrew type action coming up at you, and they're quick. They're very quick. On AAA, the gunners, they use tracers to direct their fire on different size tracers for different size AAA coming up. For example, it's more of a lines of BBs coming up at you, red BBs, and that's very, very quick. It's also very, very dangerous, very accurate.
It is the experience of crewmen like these that has made the Spectre so formidable a weapon system. The Special Operations Squadrons have seen more combat over the last decade than any other Air Force units. Grenada, Panama, and Desert Storm. Their unique aircraft and their unique capabilities make them especially well suited to the demands of the post-Cold War years, to the low-intensity conflicts so typical of the past decade. Whenever there is a need for special operations, there will be a call for the Spectre gunships.